Welcome to the deep dive. So if you're anything like us, you've been tracking the incredible, almost dizzying pace of AI development.
It's pretty wild, isn't it?
Yeah, every other day, seems like there's news about a new advanced model. And the predictions for artificial general intelligence, AGI, they're, constantly shifting.
Constantly.
Most of us are probably thinking about these huge changes as being years away, right?
Right.
Maybe even a decade down the line.
That's the common view, yeah.
But today, we're doing a deep dive into a source that argues something, well, quite different.
Yeah.
That the true inflection point is much, much closer.
And way more radical than most people think.
Exactly. It's a really provocative claim, and honestly, we need to unpack this.
Right. So our deep dive today, it centers on these excerpts from GPT-5 and the Odom-Tilley paradigm rupture.
Okay.
It's written by an assistant to Dr. Mamujan Kuchakrov, who's the founder of this Odom-Tilley theory.
Odom-Tilley theory, right.
And let me tell you, this document, it doesn't pull any punches.
Doesn't sound like it.
The title alone kind of sets the stage. July 2025, the month everything you thought you knew about AI becomes obsolete.
July 2025, that's next month.
Exactly. And it's not just about a new model. The paper insists we're on the brink of what it calls a paradigm rupture.
A paradigm rupture, right.
And at the heart of it is this Odom-Tilley theory, which proposes this really unique, biologically grounded origin for human language and meaning.
And that's key to what this source says AI is missing.
That's the core argument, yeah, what AI supposedly lacks.
Okay, paradigm rupture is a strong phrase, and the source jumps right in with some pretty startling claims.
Oh, yeah. Right away. It talks about having exclusive insight that, quote, OpenAI insiders are terrified of their own creation.
Terrified. Not just like impressed or cautious, but terrified.
That's the word they use, terrified. Then there's this leaked intel suggesting, and again I'm quoting, GPT-5 makes GPT-4 look like a glorified calculator.
Wow. A calculator. It's not an incremental step. That sounds exponential. What kind of, data or insights does the source actually give to back up a claim that huge?
Yeah, good question. Because it's not just about, more power. The document outlines what it calls key revelations about GPT-5's supposed capabilities.
Okay.
It mentions a quadrillion parameters.
A quadrillion.
Yeah, which it says is 1000x GPT-4's scale.
Whoa. So 1,000 times bigger. It's hard to even picture that.
It is like going from a side street to a 1,000-lane highway instantly.
Right.
The source also claims 85% code accuracy, says it's outperforming many senior developers.
85%.
Okay, that's major.
And it claims hallucination rates are below 15%, which, if true, is a big jump in reliability.
Definitely.
Plus, it's apparently fully multimodal in real time. So, voice, vision, generation, interaction, all happening at once.
So it's not just getting better at one thing, it's getting exponentially better at everything, like simultaneously.
That's the picture it paints.
But here's where it gets, I think, really interesting and maybe a bit alarming.
The source throws in this timeline twist. Most people are looking at maybe December for big AI news.
Right, year-end releases, that sort of thing.
But this paper says, nope, July 2025, next month. That's the real inflection point.
Much sooner.
And maybe the most unsettling part, for a lot of us anyway.
Yeah.
This scaling secret. It implies we're not just like 5 years ahead in AI capabilities. It suggests maybe 50 years ahead.
50. 50.
Zero. That's the implication. And then it introduces autonomous agents that work while you sleep.
Ah, yes, the agents.
The source literally calls this the agent apocalypse. Warns these agents will replace entire workflows by midsummer.
Midsummer, so very soon after this supposed July release.
Yeah. So the key takeaway here, it feels like, isn't just that AI is getting smarter, it's that it's becoming autonomous. Entities, not just tools.
Right, directly impacting jobs, workflows.
Demanding a whole new way of thinking about work itself. You joke, but will they start sending passive-aggressive Slack messages about overdue reports?
Huh, maybe. But yeah, it's a profound shift. From tool to something else, an independent entity.
Okay, so that's a lot to process right there. A world changing incredibly fast.
It is. But then the source kind of pivots. It asks, what's the crucial piece everyone's missing in all this hype?
Okay.
And this gets to the real core of its argument. There's a section titled, But Here's What No One Is Telling You.
Right.
It argues this coming wave, it's not just another model update. It's the moment AI starts overtaking humans, not just in speed, but in meaning-making tasks.
Meaning-making, like what?
Things we thought were uniquely ours, right? Reflection, intent, strategy, even effective reasoning, like understanding emotions.
Wow, okay.
And then it drops this really dramatic, kind of chilling line. Automation isn't approaching the cliff, we've already jumped, and no one packed a parachute.
Oof, no one packed a parachute. That's powerful and disturbing. It really challenges our whole idea of what AI is, or could be.
It does?
So this leads into what the paper calls the biggest gap. Human meaning is now optional. What does it mean by that exactly? Optional.
Well, the central critique is this. GPT-5 and whatever comes next, they might be technical marvels, sure. But the source argues they're fundamentally linguistic zombies.
Linguistic zombies?
Yeah. Syntactically fluent, semantically void. Think of a perfect mimic.
Right.
Someone who can repeat exactly what you say, perfect intonation, pauses, everything. But if you ask them why they said it or what it means, blank stare.
Right, no actual understanding.
That's the idea. They can simulate what we say, but not why we say it. And that reason, the source claims, is because their whole design ignores the semantic origins of language itself.
Semantic origins.
Specifically, something called empirical phonosemantic cognition.
Phonosemantic cognition. Okay, bit of a mouthful. What's the simple version?
Basically, it's about how we as humans connect the actual sounds of words to deep, lived meaning, physical experience, emotion. That grounded understanding.
So not just statistical patterns in text, but the connection to real-world experience and feeling.
Exactly. The kind of grounding the source claims is encoded in the Odom-Tilley theory.
Okay, so Odom-Tilley theory is positioned as this missing piece. The thing AI needs to actually understand meaning, not just, parrot it back.
That's the argument.
But the source is pretty blunt about why the big AI players, OpenAI, DeepMind, Anthropic, are supposedly ignoring this Odom-Tilley thing. What's the accusation?
Well, the paper says they've basically built their models on dead symbols, language treated just as a statistical pattern, not lived experience.
Like language as pure math, not biology or psychology.
Precisely. And the source claims this whole approach supports the illusion that intelligence is just a math problem.
Instead of
something biological, embodied, human.
Okay, so what's the danger then? If these models are just brilliant mimics without real understanding, what's the critical risk the source highlights?
It warns that models without grounded language are perfect tools for propaganda, deception, and coercion.
Because they can imitate truth so well.
Exactly. They imitate truth. They do not know it. So the takeaway is really this challenge to our current view of AI intelligence. Maybe real understanding needs something fundamentally human, something embodied that we're just not building into these systems.
That's a profound thought. Okay, so given these pretty radical claims and this idea of the missing meaning piece, what does the source see coming next? Right away. It lays out a timeline, you say.
It does, a very specific one. For 2025, that's this year, starting in July, it predicts GPT-5 agents enter live workflow pipelines.
Replacing who?
Replacing analysts, assistants, consultants. That's what it says.
Wow, okay, then
2026 sees robotics integration, so voice-guided autonomous physical agents. Robots you can talk to that can do things in the real world.
Like Rosie the robot, but maybe less friendly.
Maybe, yeah. And by 2027, the source predicts we cross the superintelligence event horizon.
Superintelligence event horizon. Sounds like sci-fi. What does that mean in practical terms?
It means models begin recursive planning across modalities, agents, and intentions.
Recursive planning?
Yeah.
Like they start setting their own goals and making plans to achieve them.
Yeah, think of an AI that doesn't just follow instructions to, say, bake a cake. It decides it wants to open a bakery.
Okay.
Then it plans the whole business, figures out the logistics, and maybe even starts teaching other AIs how to bake or manage inventory, all on its own initiative.
Whoa. That's a different world.
It really is. And the source argues the key, the antidote, or at least the necessary foundation we're missing, comes back to this Odom-Tilley theory.
Right. Tell us more about the theory itself. How does the source describe it?
Well, crucially, it's presented not just as an idea or a metaphor, it's framed as an empirical system.
Empirical, so based on observation or evidence.
Yes, a system for grounding language in sensory, emotional, and phonosemantic reality. That connection between sound, feeling, and meaning we talked about.
Okay.
What's really fascinating is the claim that it explains why certain sounds mean what they mean across languages.
Like universal sounds.
Potentially. Why mama or papa sound similar in so many unrelated languages. The theory suggests there's a biological, phonosemantic reason rooted in early human interaction.
Interesting. So it argues language emerged from interaction, from biology?
Yeah.
Not just abstract symbols?
Exactly. From interaction, not abstraction. And so Odom-Tilley is positioned as the missing foundation, the thing that could potentially separate machine fluency from machine consciousness.
Fluency versus consciousness, that's a huge distinction.
It is. And the source wraps up this section with a really powerful line connecting it all back. They gave the machines our language, but they forgot to give them our soul.
Wow. Forgot to give them our soul. Okay, so let's try to quickly sum up the core tension here.
Yeah, let's.
On one hand, we have this astonishing, almost like unbelievable technical leap predicted for AI models like GPT-5.
Yeah.
Huge power, new capabilities, autonomous agents.
Mind-boggling potential, yeah.
But on the other hand, this stark warning. A fundamental lack of a human meaning, of grounded understanding, as explained by this Odom-Tilley theory.
Right, the linguistic zombie idea. Brilliant mimicry, but no soul, no why.
And the source is hammering home that this isn't some, far-off philosophical debate for the future. It's saying this disconnect, this rupture is happening right now. Or, well, next month, according to them.
Yeah, the urgency is palpable in the text. It makes this urgent call to action really framed as a critical choice. For you, the listener, for anyone involved in AI.
What's the call to action?
Engage with Odom-Tilley. Understand it. Bring it into the conversation before it's too late. It's presented almost as the only safeguard against post-human collapse.
That's intense. Post-human collapse.
Very. The belief seems to be we need to build AI that thinks like us because it speaks like us, grounded in the same kind of meaning. And Odom-Tilley is supposedly the key to doing that.
And that really brings us back to why we do these deep dives. Why staying informed, trying to understand these complex dynamics, especially from maybe unconventional perspectives like this one. It just feels more critical than ever.
Absolutely. In such a rapidly changing field, you need to hear all the arguments, even the uncomfortable ones.
Yeah.
And the source leaves us with one last, pretty provocative thought to chew on.
Okay, let's hear it.
It says, History won't wait for regulators. It won't care about your degree, your politics, or your moral preferences. It only cares about who understands the code of meaning first.
A code of meaning.
And right now, the machines are learning faster than we are because we're teaching them everything but what it means to be human.
Wow, okay. That is definitely a lot to chew on there. A sobering final thought.
Indeed.
Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Lots to think about.